it's Laura with Rain Tree Nursery. It is late spring here in the garden, and it is this time of year when I start seeing letters and photographs from customers who are describing excessive growth from the base of their young and old plants. This is rootstock suckering. Let me be clear about this. Rootstock suckering is bad. It is especially bad for young trees. But before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about the structure of our young trees. Right here is a young tree. Here you have the graft union. Above the graft union is the scion wood. That's the named variety that you bought, that you're looking for blossoms and fruit from. Below the graft union is the rootstock. Now, what is happening here is the very vigorous rootstock has sent these up, and it is starting to split its energy. For example, here we have two really strong suckers. A third of that rootstock's energy is going into pushing growth on this sucker. A third of it is growing into pushing growth on this sucker. And only a third of it is pushing growth into the scion wood. Now, normally, I would have cut these off a long time ago when they were still tiny little things as soon as I saw them. But I wanted you to be able to see in just 2 weeks how quickly these rootstock suckers will begin to outperform your scionwood growth. Now, sometimes rootstock suckering can be kind of interesting, and we can learn some things from it. This is an example of a shapova. Normally, this would be grafted to a pear rootstock. Usually, apples are grafted to apples, pears are grafted to pears. But in this circumstance, shapova is grafted to a hawthorn rootstock. And you can tell because the leaves look totally different. Now, there's nothing wrong with this tree. I'm going to go ahead and remove these suckers. Another thing that you can learn from suckering is that there may be something going on with the tree. It may just be excessive rootstock vigor and it needs to be maintained every year, but you could be seeing weakness in the top of the tree. It could be a disease process. So it's something you want to keep an eye on, especially if it's a young tree. But young or old, what's most important is to remove these rootstock suckers as soon as you see them so the rootstock can send all of its energy up into the scionwood. And on some mature trees, a little bit of root suckering is not so bad. There are certain kinds of really wonderful rootstocks that tend to sucker. This is Mariana 2624 on this Mirabelle plum. It is a fantastic rootstock, lots of vigor, helps with disease resistance, gets you fruit early, tolerates wet soils. So I love this rootstock, and I have to prune it every year because it does have a tendency to sucker. But it's a small price to pay to have a nice, healthy tree in the landscape. The one thing I do pay attention to is I try to cut my suckers off during a nice sunny day so that I don't have problems with any kind of fungal infection. Just get in here when it's nice and sunny, cut them off, and walk away till next year. And that's it. Thanks for joining us. It's Laura with Rain Tree Nursery, and I'm going to take care of some suckering.